So interestingly, there are a lot of people who don't know that, but we don't convert just human beings. We also convert object vessels used for food, which is very strange, right? So this mitzvah is actually known as TEVILAH, meaning when we buy an object that is not created by a Jew, one needs to take that object and before using it, that object that is only object used for eating food or putting food in it, and take that object, dip it into water. It's different than koshering. We're not boiling or anything. It has to be in a mikvah, the same mikvah that one will convert in. It can be in the sea, it can be in the lake, or in the mikvah like a woman dips in when at the end of her cycle, nida cycle, or when a man or woman converts. The same mikvah, which is a pool of water, rainwater, coming directly into that pool, and we make a blessing, al mitzvah tefillah, and we dip the vessel. It just needs to be dipped one time, and then it can be used as a vessel for food. This is very relevant for before Passover, because a lot of people buy new dishes for Passover because we cannot use the dishes from the rest of the year. But which is interesting because Passover is a time where a lot of people converted in Judaism. When we came out of Egypt, there was a need to, almost convert again. There was no Jewish nation. There were the Hebrews. They were the descendant of Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, but there was no Jewish nation yet. So Brit Milah had to be done at the time of the Korban Pesach and before Har Sinai. Anyway, the meaning that the whole concept is I connected all those concepts, all those ideas with conversion and freedom coming out of Egypt. Now, what's the deep? Why do we need to do that? And why specifically with food? Obviously, I don't have all the answers, but there's some ideas that we can learn and try to understand for our Avodat Hashem in order to come close to God and use the world properly. So when a man and a woman have a child, many people don't realize that the type of child that's going to come out in this world, the type of soul that's going to be downloaded from the world of souls to come into our child depends on the intention we have when we make the child. It depends on the emotional level, balance, happiness, love that we have when we make the child. It depends on the body desires and happiness and preparedness to bring that child. All this is important, and sometimes it's disregarded. We make children just to make children, or it just happened that we make a child. It's very sad because we can download much higher level souls. There's a specific purpose. It's the first mitzvah in the Torah, first of all, and there's a specific purpose why we bring children in the world. But it's not. This class is not about children. Have another class if you want on why we have children. But the same way we affect what type of child we have, what type of soul we're drawing down here. So too, when we make an object, when we create something, we build something, we design something, whatever intention we have when we use that object, changes, so to speak, the soul of the object, if we can say so. We know that every object has a spark, every object has a, right? So that just like every word has a thought behind it. It's like the soul of the word, and therefore the thought, when we do an object, is the soul of that object. So that's why we have to destroy statues that are made for idolatry. Even, or you can use wine used for idolatry. That's why Jews don't drink wine from non-Jews, because in the past most non-Jews were doing idolatry. And therefore it affects the spirit of the wine, this energy happening there through what we think of. So therefore all those, we have to be careful how we think. How we think affects the world. There's something that nowadays with science and New Age and the spirituality that's happening today, we understand that you affect the world through your thoughts. This can be calculated with computers already and everything. So you affect the world, and therefore when you make an object, you are to try to use that object to serve God. We are here to use our drives and thoughts and energy, emotion in order to become one with God, to seduce God, to be in love with God, and to elevate the world, to fix the world, to make the world a better place, to make the world a vessel for God. So by creating something in this world, we create just another vessel from everything. We're using the elements to become receptacles, vessels to the light, to God. That's what we're here for. When we do that, then we earn that we have participated in the process of bringing more unity into the world, and that's going to be our reward in the world to come, how much we participated. So anyway, the idea is like that. We don't know what the non-Jew has in mind when he makes a vessel, especially for food. We don't know, or anything, right? So therefore we assume that it didn't have necessarily the intention to do it specifically to serve God. Therefore, as a Jew, we convert the object. Now I'm going to use an object, and it has a vessel, it has a body, and I got to change the soul to that body, to that vessel. So I take the vessel and I dip it, and I convert literally the vessel, and now I'm using it. It's going to be used to serve God. It has a soul now that is used to serve God, just like I bring a child and I want my child to be a child that's going to serve God. Therefore, that object now has a new status. It has a status of being ready be used for holiness and for God. And we can only therefore use for food, again, only vessels for food, and we do it only for glass and metals, with a blessing. Without a blessing, we do it also with plastic and wood items, and also meaning earthenware vessels also have to be dipped, and with a blessing. But all the others we don't do with a blessing, because those are not mekabel tuma, meaning a vessel is able or not able to be affected by impurities. But I want to go into too much details, because that's going to deeper, more complicated grounds. But the basic idea that I want to bring is that we are converting those objects, which is already a very powerful thing, into Jewish objects, so to speak, meaning into object focused that now are going to be used and focused for spirituality. Now, why with food specifically? We don't do that for anything for else than food. So because food is one of the main way that we elevate the world. People don't really understand that, don't realize, because there's such a drive for food, right? Almost everything you do during the day, most of your day, you're spending time to earn money so that you can eat, live, and have food. If we didn't eat, most of us will need to work. We just make a nice, little house, and that's it. You live happy ever after. But we need to eat. And because we need to eat, we spend our entire energy almost to eat. And as we know, we love to eat. I mean, look how many restaurants and how many types of yogurts and how many types of fruits and how many types of things exist in the world. We spend our entire time The only mall that is not closed during a pandemic is the food mall, because we need that all the time. God made it that food is the main way to connect to God, the way to serve God, and He made it that we're dependent on that food to survive, because He wants us to understand that through food, we are able to connect to God. We're able to connect to the source of our energy and source of life, which is God Himself. God wants us to ask Him, to pray that we should receive food, so that we keep having a relationship with God. When we are born, the baby sucks his mother's breast, and from that moment and on, the first connection he has with his parents, with life, is eating, a loving connection. And by the way, that's why also the mother is the one who gives the soul to the baby, because she's the one mainly nourishing him. Beside carrying him the 9 months, all that, the whole process. But that's even more. There's always a stronger bond with the child to the mother, because of that, because of the nursing and that special connection. So what happens is that food is one of the main ways to serve God. That's what Jews eat all the time. That's what the whole thing of sacrifices in the temple is, with food. This is one of the secrets, understanding that we can elevate nature, we can elevate the world of mineral, the world of vegetables, of plants, the world of animals, and the world of human being, by using all of that for God, to get close to God, using that energy, the elements, to be in part of us, so that we can recycle them or transform them into human flesh and human energy, and use that to serve God. By doing that, we use everything, all the elements, to get to use all that energy that we receive from it to serve God, and that the whole chain becomes elevated. But it's not about food only. But I believe this is one of the main reasons why we have to convert those objects for food, is so that we understand that we are here to eat, not because we're hungry, but in order to connect to our Creator. Each time we eat is an opportunity to serve God, it's an opportunity to get closer to God. People get closer to each other when they eat together. It has a bonding secret. When I eat, my body and soul stay attached. If I stop eating, they detach, right? So therefore, it's the glue between the soul and the body. Also, when you eat, you're feeding your spiritual self. You're not only, if you have the right intention, right, to extract the energy, the spiritual energy of the food, and to elevate it and to be part of your soul. So you can feed your soul and feed your body. So that's a little bit of the secret of why we dip into water, right? Water is like the liquid heaven that can transform anything, that can purify anything, that can change everything. That's why there was the Mabul, the flood, and all that, which is water purifies. We boil things with water. The whole concept, which also before Pesach, is very relevant. So understanding that that when we sit to eat on Passover or during Shabbat and even during the week, when I sit on my table, I am doing a holy avoda, a holy service. I can make it into a holy service. We have to change the way we eat. We can't eat like animals without thinking. No, even my vessel are prepared. My bowls and my cups and my dishes are here, used, prepared, created for me to serve God. Everything physical that I have, I use it to serve God. And I'm going to eat to get closer to God. So one of the first steps to be holy, says the Ramchal and many others, is to actually work on eating properly, eating with the right intention, eating because I want to get close to God, eating to get energy to serve Him, eating to be to elevate the world. So that all is a very different way to look at life, because since it's one of the most animalistic urge that we have, eating and sexuality, but eating is like number 2 right after. Some would say even number 1. We eat more than we have intimacy. And there's a lot of tension. Sometimes we want to eat things that are forbidden, right? Because of the taste is such a strong urge. It's a very animalistic urge, and we have the ability to really get close to God by controlling those two urges, food and sexuality. If we control those two, then we are able really to deal with our most intense, basic animalistic instinct and energies, and we direct it the proper way. We can really start becoming really holy and be on the path to spirituality, and use everything physical, our entire body and energy, for the right purpose, for the higher purpose, for God. So may we all be able to achieve that. It's not easy. It's a lifelong struggle and exercise, but every step of the way we have the ability to, every day we have the ability to work at it and grow more and more. So now we know a bit more about converting objects, which is called TEVILAH, to TEVIL, our stuff, learn the laws, how to do it. It's very simple. And there are special mikveh just for vessels, for dishes, for kilim. And so you don't have to go to the sea. I mean, it depends on the town. Not every town has that, but in a very Jewish town, they have that. Sometimes even in the store, you buy, a new cup or a pot, and you can just go straight do it there. And it has never been as easy as it is today. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.